Wind howls across the Great Plains, ripping across endless snowfields and tearing at the canvas-thin hides of the tepee. To modernize, it looks impossible. No stone walls, no furnaces, no insulation, just fabric stretched over poles, and the bitter kind of cold that kills before dawn. And yet, families not only survived, they thrived. Entire communities weathered winters that would flatten anyone relying on comfort instead of ingenuity. How did they do it? Forget fireplaces, forget radiators, forget the thermostat humming in your home right now. Native American tribes unlocked survival hacks that were smarter, more sustainable, and sometimes even more effective than modern heating tech. They turned snow into insulation, invented radiant floor systems out of willow and hides, and even preheated their own bodies like walking furnaces. So today, we're uncovering 7 heating secrets that prove knowledge is stronger than any fireplace. By the end, you won't just respect their survival, you'll wonder if they were actually ahead of us. Snow kills the unprepared, but in the hands of Native Americans, snow became armor. When blizzards swept across the plains, families didn't just hunker down, they reshaped the storm itself. They piled snow high against the base of the tepee, waist-high or taller. From the outside, it looked like the lodge had been swallowed by a drift. From the inside, it felt like the storm had suddenly lost its teeth. Here's the science. Snow isn't solid ice. It's packed with tiny air pockets, and air is one of the best insulators in nature. Those snow walls created a buffer, raising inside temperatures by several degrees. That might sound small, but when it's 30 below, a few degrees can mean the difference between frostbite and survival. The walls also block drafts. Instead of icy winds sneaking under the lodge and stealing precious warmth, airflow was deflected upward. It's the same principle modern engineers use when designing windbreaks and insulated buildings, except the tribes built theirs free, right out of the sky. Think about it. You complain about shoveling your driveway? They turned the same snow into life insurance. Lighting a fire inside a hide tent sounds insane. Sparks, smoke, suffocation. It's a recipe for disaster. But Native Americans made it work with precision. The fire pit wasn't random. It was shallow, about 6 inches deep, dug dead center for even heat distribution. Too shallow and sparks escaped. Too deep and heat got trapped. The center gave balance, warming every side equally. Above, at the very top of the tepee, sat the true genius, adjustable smoke flaps. Depending on wind direction, you opened one, closed the other, and let convection pull smoke out while fresh air entered from low vents. It was a natural chimney system, safe, efficient, self-regulating. But technology is only half the story. Families took turns tending the fire through the night. They were living thermostats, adjusting logs, controlling sparks, ensuring warmth never faltered. Compare this to your modern heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Ours runs on electricity and sensors. Theirs ran on skill and constant vigilance. And it worked. Imagine climbing into bed on a sub-zero night, and the floor is warm. That's exactly what tribes created with fire-heated stones. Smooth, dense rocks were buried in embers until they glowed with heat. Then, carefully wrapped in hides or cloth, they were placed at the foot of bedding or beneath layers of buffalo skin. Why did it work so well? Stone has a high heat capacity. It stores energy slowly and releases it just as slowly. A single heated stone could radiate warmth for hours, sometimes all night. Sound familiar? It's the same principle behind modern hot water bottles, heated bricks in stoves, even today's electric blankets. Except theirs required no batteries, no wires, just fire and physics. Picture this. The storm howls outside, snow piles against the walls, but under your buffalo hide blanket, a warm stone radiates heat like a personal heater. Survival never felt so cozy. This hack sounds brutal, but brilliant. When layers of fur weren't enough, Native Americans built their last line of defense directly on their skin. They smeared themselves with buffalo fat. Thick, greasy, stubborn, it formed a waterproof barrier against icy winds. Then came the kicker, a dusting of fine campfire ash. The fat sealed in body heat. The ash trapped a thin insulating layer and even absorbed radiant heat from the fire, reflecting it back into the skin. It was a survival lotion, a thermal shield. Sound primitive? Compare it to today. We buy $200 cold weather moisturizers, marketed with words like barrier cream and hydrating protection. This was the same science centuries earlier. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't pretty, but when winter clawed at your bones, buffalo tallow and ash made the difference between frostbite and life. When the cold laughed at your coat, you layered down, literally. Tribes stitched together dozens, sometimes hundreds of rabbit pelts into blankets, cloaks, and underlayers. It looked like patchwork, but functionally, it was genius. Rabbit fur is incredibly fine, trapping more air per inch than most larger animal pelts. Air equals insulation, and insulation equals warmth. But rabbit hides are fragile. One rip could ruin the piece. That's why they layered and stitched relentlessly, strength through numbers. Modern translation: thermal underwear, fleece jackets, down quilts. The principle hasn't changed. Trap air, hold heat. The tribes had the original version, field-tested in blizzards long before Gore-Tex and Patagonia existed. Forget fashion. These patchwork furs weren't pretty, but they kept families alive when nothing else could. Call it Survival Couture, Native Edition. Ask any camper. The coldest enemy isn't always the air, it's the ground. The earth steals warmth from your body like a thief in the dark. Tribes countered with layered bedding systems that were as smart as any modern mattress. First came tightly woven willow mats, springy, with air gaps that blocked conduction from the soil. On top of that, thick piles of reeds or grasses, trapping even more air. Finally, buffalo hides, fur side up, leather side down, locking in warmth. Some even dug shallow ground beds, compacting soil during the day so it stored heat and released it slowly overnight. That's radiant floor heating centuries before luxury homes. Compare it to today's insulated sleeping pads, memory foam mattresses, and heated flooring. Different materials, same principle. They weren't sleeping rough, they were sleeping smart. Before crawling into bed, some tribes cranked up their most ingenious survival hack, the sweat lodge. Picture a dome-shaped hut packed with red-hot stones. Water poured over them, hissed into clouds of steam. Families sat inside until their skin flushed, sweat pouring off them. It wasn't luxury, it was survival prep. Why? Raising core body temperature before bed gave them a heat reserve. Their blood stayed warm longer, buying crucial hours before the cold seeped in. Sweat also purged dampness, since wet skin or clothes could be deadly in sub-zero conditions. Think of it like charging a battery. By superheating their bodies, they walked into the freezing night fully charged. Today, we treat saunas as luxury spas. For them, saunas were life insurance. Their spa night wasn't cucumber water and eucalyptus oil. It was grit, rocks, and survival. When you look at these 7 hacks together, the message is clear. Survival didn't come from luck. It came from knowledge. Snow walls, engineered fires, heated stones, buffalo fat, rabbit fur, layered mats, sweat lodges, each one alone was clever. Together, they formed a system of survival that turned fragile teepees into warm, living shelters. And that's the real lesson. Modern life tricks us into thinking survival depends on gadgets, batteries, or expensive gear. But batteries die. Firewood runs out. Technology fails. Knowledge doesn't. So the next time you're cozy by your fireplace or adjusting your thermostat, remember, centuries ago, families survived the deadliest winters armed with nothing but hides, stones, snow, and wisdom. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these Native American heating hacks blew your mind the most? Would you try heated stones in your bedding, or maybe even a sweat lodge session before bed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. And if you love discovering forgotten survival secrets that still matter today, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because storms don't care about comfort, but knowledge? Knowledge always keeps you warm.